Today on the Railway Room, I'm looking at some 3D printed kits from Enwins 3D. Hello friends, and welcome back to the Railway Room. So yes, today I've got some 3D printed kits from Enwins 3D that I'm going to be looking at and painting up, which I thought would be pretty interesting to share with you. So first up, we've got these pack of slate walls. So there's 5 walls in there. We'll open those up and have a proper look at those soon, but I think they're going to look quite good on the layout. There's also this 3D printed narrow gauge bridge, and the front part of the bridge is available separately, which also forms this tunnel portal. I forgot what it was called for a moment. It's a tunnel portal. And then there's also this rather lovely slate cottage, and if we open it up, there's some detailing inside that as well. These are 4mm kits, so they're good for 00 layouts as well as 009. There's a few different versions of these cottages available, so you can actually make a whole village scene just using these parts. And also the bridge, the front part of that is available as the tunnel portal, but the top bed is also available as a separate piece should you need it. So let's go down and have a closer look at these items, shall we, before I start painting them up. Okay, so this is the cottage, and the roof is removable so that you can detail the interior should you so choose. And looking at this, you can see the slate detailing styling on the outside there is really nicely done. There's a lot of detail in there, and then you've got a front and back door, and all the window ledges nicely picked out. And on the inside, you can see on the ground floor here, this will be the chimney, and there's even a little hole in the fireplace. And then there's also, I don't know if it'll show up on the camera, but there's interior doors through here. So the front and the back door leads into this corridor, and then there's doors into the front and the back room. So this presumably will be a kitchen, and this will be a living room with the fire in. You presumably need to add some stairs to the upstairs, maybe like in this corner or something. I'll worry about that when I get there. But then this is all flat, so you can then add an upstairs to it as well. I think that's pretty good. And again, you've got all the slating picked out, and again around the chimney and the chimney pots. With it being a PLA rather than resin print, there's a couple of little stringy bits in here. They should clean up quite easily. So the next thing I'll do is I'll give it a quick spray up with a primer, and then we can have a go at getting it painted. Also, there's the cottage after a quick spray with the primer, and you can see brought out the detail on the brickworks there. One thing you probably notice, it has drawn attention to the print lines, particularly on the doors here. So what I'll probably do is I'll just get a bit of sandpaper and give that a smoothing over, and then give it another coat of primer. And I should sort that. It's a little bit more work than some, but it's not a problem. Nicely primed up now. So I'm just going to paint it over with a basic grey for all the slates, and then I'll dry brush on various shades. Right. I probably don't need to show you the whole thing, because obviously there's 4 sides, it's just going to be the same. So I'll just paint around with this grey. So then I'm just going to gently dry brush some other shades on. So then I'll just pick out some of the details before I go any further. So these window frames, I'll just paint those over in white. I might need a couple of coats of this because this white is quite thin. It's a bit tricky to get it in while the camera's there. And I'm also going to pick a colour for the door, so I'm going to go with this dark green, which I'll just paint in. I'll do a better job of it without the camera, but just to get a first coat in. Because of the edging of the door frame there, I don't even really need to worry too much about masking. There's not super great coverage there, but once it's dried I'll come and put another coat on it and that'll be nice. And I'm also going to use this same green to pick out the guttering down the side. And then I'll just pick out the drain pipe support pieces in black, hopefully. So then I'll hopefully just do a bit of a black wash over. If you'll excuse the aeroplane. Tap it off before it's just dry. So I'm not going to do too much work at this stage, but one little thing that I will do is just add little bits of glue here and there, bits of PVA. Maybe above the window frame here and along the bottom. And then I'll just lightly sprinkle on some green flocking, some slightly different shades mixed in together there. Just trying to remember to get some on top of where I've put the glue, if I can remember where the glue is. And some in front of that window. I think this bit over here. And I'll just let that dry. So this is the cottage then, and I think that's come out looking pretty good. Obviously there's plenty more details that can be added to this. Most obviously it would be glazing, some door handles maybe, and then inside interior detailing, floor wall partitions for upstairs and so on. However, I'm holding fire on that at the moment because I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to use this in the layout. So it may be an abandoned building with windows missing or broken, or it might be renovated as maybe a holiday let or something like that. So I'm going to hold fire on any more detailing until I've decided how I'm going to use it, but there's definitely options there. One thing I do like about this is, I don't know if you can see, the fireplace at the bottom of the chimney there actually has a little hole in it, so you can easily make a hole in the floor and put a little flickering light bulb in there, so that would probably look quite nice. But again, that's something that's going to depend on how and where I'm going to use this in the layout. So for now I'm going to call it a day, and then I'm sure you will see this again in a future video as it finds its place on the layout. Okay, so these are the slate walls. There's two different versions of these available. This is just the standard pack of 5. There's also a pack of 6 available that comes with some corner pieces. So if you want to have corners, they're the ones to go for. If we just open this up, We'll have a closer look now, but yeah, I think you'll agree they're looking pretty nice. These are, I believe, PLA printed rather than resin, so there is, if you get very close, a certain amount of layering in there, but it's not really visible from any normal viewing distance. I think the slate design on there is really good. It's really intricate, and I really like the step-in of the top pieces as well. There's clearly quite a lot of time and effort gone into putting these together. I think once they're painted up and on the layout, they're going to look really nice. So the first thing I'll do is give them a quick spray with a grey primer paint, and then we'll get down to detailing up and getting them onto the layout. So it's come back from priming now, and I'll just quickly do a bit of painting over, just give a quick wash of dark grey, and then I'll dry brush on a few other shades as well. One thing I do like about these walls is they are pretty narrow, which is really useful if your layout is quite tight for space. And they, particularly in 009 layouts, space is very much of a premium. Trying to squeeze a lot into a small space, so walls that are quite thin like this are going to be very, very useful to have. So once I've painted a few shades of grey on there, I'll just get a nice light black wash and run this over it. I think that's starting to look a bit nicer, and I'll do the same on the other side. Try and get some across the top too, hopefully. Yeah, I think we're getting there. So my next plan will be just get a bit of PVA glue and run it in some random nooks and crannies. And then get a variety of flocking material and just press that in. And then it will glue where it glues, where there's glue. And just a variety of different colours. So I'll just give that chance to for the glue to dry, and then I'll brush the excess away. So once I've just cleared off the excess of that green flock stuff, I think that's looking pretty good. Pretty much ready to try it out onto putting onto a layout. So the only thing I need to do is just file the ends of these flat so that they can sit together nice and snug. But you can see hopefully they're going to look very much the part. Perhaps there's a wall along the back of the platform there. So they do have these support pieces on the bottom. They're going to be very useful to hold it flat whilst it's glued in position. So I think if you just put a little bit of glue along the middle, you can then glue it into place and then snap these off. These pieces you can leave them on and put scenery around on top of them if you wish, or you can just snap them off. I already snapped them off this one, and it still stands up quite yeah. So you can see how the base is quite useful for it to stand up whilst you're gluing it into position. But yeah, I'm very pleased with these little walls actually. Obviously the limitation with them is that they need to be in a straight line and on the flat, but if that suits the place where you're wanting to use them, these are very good options for the walls, I would say. So this one then is the bridge, and to be honest, the more time I've spent with this, the more I actually like it. I think it's quite a versatile piece that you can use in a number of ways. So the obvious thing when I first saw it was that this would be some kind of a road over the top and the railway would go underneath. But then I came to realise that actually, if this is my narrow gauge loco, the loading gauge is very generous. So it might be actually work as a single track branch line for a standard gauge. But if you are making a narrow gauge line, then there are options. You can have the trackbed raised in here so this sinks into the scenery, and that probably looks nicer than if it's just sitting on the top. You might get gaps underneath the walls and that. Or you can just saw across at the height that you want and make it as tall a bridge as you would like, bearing in mind what size loading gauge you've got, because the thing with the narrow gauges, they do come in a lot of various sizes, so it's not a one size fits all kind of deal. And the other thing is that these bridge sides, as I mentioned before, is available separately, so you can just buy the side piece and use it as it is, or cut it off as a tunnel mouth. It's quite versatile. But the thing that I did realise after having this for a little while looking at it is that actually it probably works very well as an underbridge, and I think that might actually be what it's the intention is. The width on this is just nice for a nice 009 or HOE loco. So if you've got a little road or a river something going underneath, this would be quite a good underbridge to get as well. And the top part of this again is available separately, so you can have your trackbed continuing on either side as well. So it is nice and versatile, and again, like the other pieces, you've got a nice detailed slate or stone design on the sides. One thing that you may notice is a side effect of the printing on this is the underside is a bit messy around the top there, but of course, particularly if this is an underbridge and the railway's on top, but even if it's underneath, it's going to be set quite low down on the layout, so the chances of being able to see anything underneath there are pretty slim for 99.9% of places you're going to use this, so it's not really an issue. Generally speaking, if you do find that it's going to be an issue, it's easy enough, I would say, to get a bit of filler material, maybe some clay, and just smooth that in the inside and smooth it off. It's probably what I will do, even though I'm not really going to need it to be filled in because you won't be seeing it, but it's one of those things that if I know it's there, it'll annoy me. So I will clean that off, I think. Yeah, so just a little bit of air dry clay, a bit of water, smooth it into the holes, and then we'll let that dry. And as soon as it's dry, I'll just give it a spray over with the primer paint. And there's the bridge after the primer. It's looking pretty decent, I think. I won't go through the full detail of painting this because I'm going to paint it exactly the same way as the other ones, just putting some varying shades of grey with dry brushing. And so this is how the bridge has come out. I think it looks pretty good. I'm very pleased with that. Haven't 100% decided how and where I'm going to use this, so I probably haven't got anywhere to use it at the moment to have it as an underbridge, so it might wind up being an overbridge, maybe being cut down a bit, but I'm thinking it really looks the part. I'm very pleased with that, and if I just place it roughly into position on the board there, I think you can see it does look the part. If I do use it as an overbridge like this, I'll need to put some weathering around here where it's going to be hit by the exhaust, but obviously I need to wait and see whether it's going to be an over or an under bridge before I make any final decisions on that. But yeah, very pleased with that. I think it's come out looking really good. So there we are, that's the 3D printed items I've had from Enwins 3Ds, the bridge, the cottage and the slate walls. And I have to say I've thoroughly enjoyed working on these. There's maybe a little bit of work cleaning up some of the print lines here and there, but it's not a massive thing, and to be honest I find it very rewarding, and it has been very enjoyable to work on these. So a few bits of detailing still to do before they become finalised and I find a place for them in the layout. But I hope you can agree that they've coming along nicely, and there's great potential in these. Particularly the bridge there can be used in a multiple of different ways. So these ones that I've had are the 0009 4mm scale ones. He also does them in N scale and TT120. You can drop him a line through the website. He's a very friendly guy. I'm sure he'd be happy to discuss if you need them in a more specialist scale as well. He's a regular around exhibitions in the northwest of England as well, so keep an eye out for him. Go and check out his website, there's some really good stuff on there. In addition to the own Enwins stuff, he also carries the Mark Holcroft design pieces which come in resin. There's locos and other buildings from there as well. There's some really good looking stuff. It's definitely worth checking out, so I'll put a link down below and maybe a card somewhere as well. But yeah, definitely worth checking out. So thank you for watching. I do hope you've enjoyed the video, found it useful. If you did, feel free to do the comment, like, subscribe, all of those bananas. And thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.